We know that Republicans are cowards. That is incredibly clear. But it just got even clearer after Jamie Raskin went public with a new piece of legislation out of the spineless MAGA majority in the House that would essentially let them cede all of their power to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And not just that, but overturn every impactful and important and protective piece of legislation passed in the final year of the Biden presidency. This is insane, and as Jamie Raskin put it, this is moronic. But, of course, he called it out in a very important takedown that has Republicans pretty upset, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's hear from Jamie Raskin.
The purpose of the gentleman's bill is not to give Congress the power to undo midnight rules, because Congress already has that power. Under the Congressional Review Act, House Republicans can go to the floor this week and they can try to undo every single regulation that was issued by the Biden administration from August of last year to Inauguration Day. So what does their bill do? Well, it would allow the majority to roll up lots of midnight regulations and lots of others too, including what you might call twilight, midday, and early morning regulations. Indeed, all of the regulations adopted in the final 365 days of the prior administration, an entire year that takes place at midnight. All the regulations adopted in the last year could be tied together into a bundle, wrapped up together in a giant bunch, and then voted down as a single jumbo resolution. This tactic could be used to try to get Congress to eliminate no fewer, by my count, than 355 major regulations from the last year of Joe Biden in one fell swoop, forcing every member to vote either to sustain all of the regulations or to overturn and destroy all of them. And by destroying them, that means the agencies could not try to promulgate similar regulations in the future without an act of Congress. This would allow Trump's enablers and the sheep-like new Elon Muskovites in Congress to obliterate hundreds of completely diverse and unrelated regulations in one fell swoop. Everything from, these are regulations that were adopted over the last year, everything from removing lead from drinking water, to making cell phones compatible with hearing aids, to creating safety standards for infant bath seats, to implementing the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Mr. Speaker, the reason that 43 states have constitutional or statutory single-subject rules for policy legislation, initiatives, and referendum is because voting on completely different subjects at the same time is a moronic way to govern and an invitation to political manipulation of the will of the people. What's a member to do if he or she strongly approves of, say, overturning 20% of these rules, but strongly opposes overturning 80% of them? This weird dilemma makes us ask why we would even want to force such a choice. After all, the vast majority of America rejects this whole concept. Well, the obvious purpose of this bizarre legislation is to get Republicans to vote to repeal extremely popular common sense regulations, but then try to enable them to escape the political consequences of doing so. Look, consider some of the Biden administration regulations which they would tuck into this monstrosity omnibus midnight relief resolution, and decide if you're willing to vote to overturn them, even if they're tucked in with some infamous washing machine regulation they love talking about. Consider this one from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It cuts credit card late fees from an average of $32 to $8, meaning your credit card company cannot charge you more than $8 for late fees because the CFPB brought a suit and determined that's the whole administrative cost of a late fee. It didn't say the credit card companies couldn't charge anything, but it said when they're charging you $32, that's just a ripoff. Now, our friends on that side of the aisle want to repeal this regulation because they insist it violates their precious laissez-faire principle. That is, let the credit card companies do whatever they want. But when it comes to leaving middle class and working class consumers to the mercy of gigantic credit card companies, my friends, laissez isn't fair. At least that's what the Democrats think, and we will stand up for this regulation. But if you think the credit card companies should be restored their power to charge whatever they want for late fees, way beyond their actual administrative expenses, then by all means support the Republicans' bill. Elon Musk and the billionaires will love you for it. Musk did, after all, just sign an agreement with Visa for his X wallet. Another rule Republicans could add to their giant bundle is from the Department of Transportation, which requires airlines to provide automatic refunds when your flight is canceled and to disclose upfront baggage and flight change fees. It used to be they could cancel your flight and just say, well, we'll give you another flight in the future at some point. The Department of Transportation determined that's not fair. If they cancel your flight, you get a refund, and if you want to fly later or you want to go take a train or find another mode of transportation, you could do it. Now, they could throw that into the big bonfire of regulation destruction they're so excited about. And then you could consign your rights back to the microscopic fine print on the back of your airplane ticket rather than having the consumer champions at the Department of Transportation trying to stand up for the people. So if you want the airlines to have that power over you, go ahead and vote for the GOP bill. Support laissez-faire, more laissez-faire for the billionaires. Strike a blow against the reviled Bidenomics. Give yourself all the airline inconvenience you want. Another rule that they would throw in is the FTC's wildly popular click-to-cancel rule, mandating that it should be just as easy to cancel a service advertised online as it is to sign up for it. The American people love that, right? If you want to go back to the days when it was easy as ABC 123 to sign up for an online service, but then like the 12 labors of Hercules to try to get out of it when you no longer need it, then by all means support this great laissez-faire Republican bill. Strike a blow against the big, bad, evil, mean, wicked, terrible regulations. If you fall for all that propaganda and you're more afraid of the big, bad, evil regulations than the big, bad, evil corporations, go ahead and vote for it. The unelected billionaire bureaucrat and his nameless, faceless, racist junior bureaucrats and the Muscovite nighttime wrecking ball crew will be thrilled if you vote for it. Another rule that's up for reversal is the CFPB regulation capping bank overdraft fees at $5. My constituents in Maryland, they might not be as rich as some of the constituents over on the other side. They were getting overdraft charges of $35. They didn't like that. So they support the CFPB regulation capping overdraft fees from banks at $5, which is at most what it costs the banks to process it. That practice was costing American consumers, mostly young people, mostly older people, working class people, $5 billion a year. So Biden's new $5 rule, that's the max for overdraft fees. Not a rule, a dreadful regulation, cut overdraft fees by more than 80%. And guess what? The banks didn't go bankrupt. They've never been wealthier or healthier. Record profits in the last quarter, even with consumer safety regulation, which we're supposed to be so terrified about. Go ahead, vote for the big banks and Elon Musk and the Republicans, and vote against your own interests. You can lift the $5 overdraft fee. I'd be interested what the gentleman thinks it should be. $30, $40, I don't know. Finally, consider an HHS rule that you could be forced to vote for in advancing the big omnibus package they want. A ban on junk health insurance plans that rip our people off when they need health care the most and are most desperate. That's an HHS rule. And the Republicans say that that rule should be repealed because, well, I guess the low-quality health insurance companies don't want to rip you off, right? Well, if you believe that, then by all means vote for the bill. And instead of considering these regulations one at a time on their own merits and then voting on them transparently and publicly as current law requires, as the vast majority of state constitutions and state legislatures require, this Republican bill would give Congress the power to wipe out all of these rules and hundreds of others in one single massive party line vote, which completely pulls the wool over the eyes of the American people.
Republicans are trying to dismantle our government as quickly and as dangerously as possible. They see planes falling out of the sky and say, let's deregulate some more. Let's get rid of more government employees. Let's eliminate even more oversight. And again, Jamie Raskin put it so perfectly, this is a moronic way to govern. But that's the intention of Republicans. They get into elected office, they get into public service, even though, believe me, it's not public service the way they do it, so that they can say and affirm their own belief that government doesn't work. That's what they say. Government doesn't work. We got to get rid of it. And then either make the government bigger, as Donald Trump did in his first presidency and is essentially doing now with DOJ, a whole new agency that he's added, to consolidate their power while making government worse so they can say that it is dysfunctional. This is all a part of their plan. It's a part of the distraction Donald Trump wants to put forth. It's a part of the dismantling of government. It's dangerous, but it's also this power of intimidation that he is looking to build, understanding that there are many ways in which he is weak and susceptible to public pressure. And that is why he needs this intimidation factor. That's why he's trying to consolidate so much power. That's why he has, Mike Johnson's balls really in his hands, because that's the only way he knows how to operate as a mob boss. And anytime we can find ways to break away from that power, it hurts him a lot more than you'd think. Even the small victories still help out. We do still have agency left in this thing to push back against Donald Trump. So many in the right-wing media want to tell you, and even unfortunately in liberal media, want to tell you that there's not the same level of resistance left out there against Donald Trump, that people are tired and just want to move on. But I know if you're watching this show, you're ready to fight back. You know now more than ever is the time to do so. And we are going to. I really appreciate Jamie Raskin always speaking up. We're always going to be talking about Jamie Raskin on this show. And if you want to see more of that and you want to support what we're doing, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.